Do you love motherhood, but you also feel like you're drowning? Do you feed your kids organic fruit, but don't mind some screen time? Then this is the podcast for you. We are the Scrunchy Moms Club who like to keep it real and relatable about the roller coaster of motherhood. We aren't silky moms, we aren't crunchy moms, but we are scrunchy moms. Welcome back to Scrunchy Moms Club.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How about you? Let's make it about you for a second.
Well, because last episode was all about you.
I know, and it's usually the best way, but
you thrive on that.
But let's make it about you, babe. So Savannah went on a hot girl trip with her husband. She went on a cruise. I don't have to. I mean, I don't need to be saying all this. You should be talking. But look at me making it about me.
Okay.
But no, she needs to talk to us about her first vacation, no children, with her husband.
It was my first vacation without kids and first vacation since kids. So it was like a big monumental thing. Yes, we went on a cruise. It was like a 5-day cruise, and it was great. It was
like, what did you do all day?
Well, wait, so I have to...
Because you know what, for the listeners, like, I haven't even talked to you about it, and like you've been at home for like over a week, but I was like, do not talk to me about it. We have to save it for the show.
Have to think about it.
So now you really need to...
It feels like a year ago. You know, when you have kids, days are years. So
right.
It feels like so long ago. But, well, first let me get into why we went on this trip. Yes, it was our first trip in like over 2 years since we had kids. And I feel like if you have small children, you know that those first few years, it's like you're in survival mode, especially with babies, but like even toddlers. Like you're in survival mode, your relationship kind of, you don't mean for it to, but it gets put on like the back burner. And like...
That'll be a whole episode.
Yeah, we try to have like date nights every once in a while, but you know, especially with the new baby that came 8 months ago, just total survival mode, and our relationship was just being put, you know, on the bottom of the priority list, which is not good. So we were like, you know, we need to get out. We need to plan a trip. So we did. And I was, that whole like month leading out to it, I was so nervous because, I mean, Gio, he's been away from us before. He spends a lot of time with his grandparents. He'll spend the night. He actually went to California with his grandparents. I feel like when they're toddler age, they could literally survive on like Cheez-Its and air. Like, I'm not worried about him.
And that's Gio for sure.
That's Gio. But my baby, Julian, so he's 8 months old, and I have never been away from him at all, ever. And he definitely was a more challenging baby and we'll get into that in like our milestone episodes. But like, Gio was a unicorn. He slept through the night, like few weeks old. Yeah. He ate fine. You know, everything was fine. With Julian, it's definitely been more. I've had to try really, really hard to get him to where he's at now. Now he's 8 months, sleeping through the night. I hate talking about sleep because I feel like every time you speak it into the universe,
right,
the baby's gonna be like, hold my beer and not sleep. But anyway, I got him to a point where he's sleeping, eating good. Like, I had to work really hard to get to that routine. So I finally was at a place where like, okay, let's test this and see if we can like go. And I was so nervous, and they stayed with my parents, which, like, you know, they're like angels sent from heaven, and they were great. The babies, like, literally were not even great. They were thriving.
But that's just like like, what a feeling.
Well, that made the trip so much better, is because it wasn't, you know. And I think if they were doing, you know, they were struggling as far as the routine, my parents wouldn't have told me anyway. You know, they would have been like, go enjoy your trip. They're thriving. But they really were thriving. Like, they slept, they ate, they had fun. My parents live on like the coast in Florida, so they walked to the beach every morning. Ugh. Like, they did not want to come home. Every time I would FaceTime, Gio would be like, oh, are you ready to come home? He's like, no. He would be like,
I'm in paradise, bitch.
Yes, exactly. So, no, they had a great time, which, like, I was able to put my guard down, and we had so much fun. It's just like, you need that like uninterrupted time with your partner,
because you can be like, oh yeah, I do like you, and
literally
we are married for a reason.
Sent me that TikTok that's like, wait, you're actually funny. Like,
I actually do like you.
I thought you were kind of a douchebag, but like, you're funny. No, that was
it's so true.
Like, we were able to like have uninterrupted, just like one-on-one time, laugh, like stay out late, sleep in, even though I didn't sleep in because you're just used to waking up early. But yeah, it was so needed. And we loved it so much so that, I mean, we didn't extend our cruise because I don't think you can do that. We would have, but my parents
Just stay on the boat.
Yeah. My parents live on the coast of Florida, like away from us, and they're like, well, why don't you come home for a few days and we'll bring them in a few days, and you can like get readjusted, unpack all the things. And at first, I was like, absolutely not. Like, Julian's gonna miss me so much, like, and I'm gonna miss them.
Mommy, who?
Literally. And so after I saw them thriving, I was like, okay, like, that's fine. So we came home and we had a few more days. So I think in total it was 8 days that we had no kids. And I will say the cruise was amazing, and I didn't really, I mean, I missed them, of course, but I was having so much fun. But then we got home, like an empty house.
Yeah, that
with all your
is
kid
weird.
toys. Yeah, that I got really lonely, and then I was missing them a lot. But yeah, it was great. And then when they came home, I also feel like the separation is good for them too.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Because it's like that moment when they came home, like we just all embraced and missed each other so much. Like I feel like it's good for the parents, but also the kids.
Yes.
And like to have memories with their grandparents and stuff like that. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah, like it's so interesting. Yeah, we don't need to hog all their memories.
No.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that too. So yeah.
Oh yeah,
like
because we have FOMO, really bad
Well,
FOMO.
FOMO and just like you want to be a part of it all. Yeah, and you want to be part of the memories too, but they need to make memories with their aunts and uncles and grandparents
you can't be selfish.
and other.
Exactly.
Yeah, ugh, I love
Exactly.
being selfish though.
I know, but with them, like that's how I felt too.
Yeah,
like, especially
no, I
when
get that.
Gio went to California because I was 2 months postpartum at that point. I was supposed to go, but that was really hard for me. But I'm like, he's gonna have the best memories. Like we have to put them first.
Yeah.
And we'll survive. And we did. But anyway, yeah, 10 out of 10 recommend taking a trip with your husband. Even if it's, you know, just this, you're a big staycation girly. I feel like if I'm going to do all the stress of packing and planning a trip, like I need to leave the state. I'm like that kind of, but you like staycations.
They're convenient, but I love also getting the fuck out
That's
of
true.
Florida.
Before we had kids, we were both big travel.
Yeah,
people.
we were. And I think, well, especially with Jonah, I think I do staycations now just because it's convenient
Easier,
and
yeah.
easier. But no, I love getting the hell out.
Yeah. No, Jonah's traveled, but not out of the country. But you got his passport.
I did get him a passport, yeah, because we want to do some things, yeah. So
But
that's so good.
So it was so much fun.
Ugh, I'm just like so happy for you. Like you
need to do it too.
I know. Sam and I have only been one night apart from.
Yeah.
No, but then I went to Mexico with my best friend, and
But like him away from both of you.
yeah, no, both of us. We only did a one night for his birthday. We like rented a little like a cabin for his birthday, and we were gone 24 hours. So, and he was with grandma, and it was fine. But no. So you are someone to look up to.
And after like everyone did so well, I told my husband that we need to like yearly like do this, and like also yearly like him go with his grandparents. Like I feel like that's really healthy too. So we're gonna try to be more good about it. Another thing on our little introduction banter, the elephant in the room, as far as for me, you're looking at me with big bulgy eyes. I'm not pregnant, nothing like that. But no one knows this except us. But this is the first time we're recording since we've released an episode.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, we've been doing this on a little bit of a delay because we're moms. We don't know like,
anything can happen.
We can commit every week. So we, kind of
we've been ahead of the game. We're
we're just like professional.
It's fine. Professional. We're punctual. We know what we're doing.
Yeah. So.
We have 60 followers now, which I think is just look at us. We are just and we've made a few TikToks, so that's been challenging.
Wait, so this is the first time we're recording since we uploaded an episode, and I want to say like I don't know, I was really happy with them.
I was happy with it, but I also like listened to myself, and I was like, I have a lot of feedback for myself,
of course.
Now like I
I say like way too much.
I say a lot. So because I think I wrote down all my filler words just so I had it on paper.
No, but the response, like, I'm saying like,
We're not perfect.
No, we're not.
All right,
It's
guys.
a work in progress,
We know
okay?
our feedback. We know our flaws. We are our biggest critics. So
Oh yeah, one thing about me,
Like,
you don't
gotta give me feedback because I know I'm fucking terrible
Yeah,
sometimes.
literally. No, but the response I got, obviously our friends reached out to us and said they loved it, but like they're our friends, you know, we expect our
Yeah.
friends and our family. Although I told my parents specifically, do not listen. They were, because you know, my parents love you and love us, and
Yeah.
they wanted to listen, and I was like, love that, but do not listen. Like, it's not for
Because it's
you.
a little explicit, you know?
Yeah, it's
Just
not
a
for
little
you.
bit.
And of course they listened, and my dad texted me and was like, I can only make it 10 minutes because you started talking about your ovulation and I had to tap out. I was like, I told you
Right.
not to.
Right.
But anyway, I got a response from like people, you know, that aren't really in my inner circle that I haven't talked to in a while, or friends of friends that reached out to me and were like, I listened,
Same,
I loved it. And
yeah.
like, that felt really cool because I don't have any expectations from this.
We're really keeping our expectations low, and
It's like just one person outside of an inner circle to respond, but like a few saying that like
we have our first listener in Canada.
oh wait, yeah, you never even told me the stats or
Yeah.
anything.
Well, here I am telling you stats.
Someone in Canada.
One person in Canada.
International
Like,
girly.
We are international.
Or boy, who knows?
Who cares?
Who
You know?
cares?
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, no, we're doing things, and it's great.
We're pushing ourselves. Anyway, I had to mention that. Like,
Yes,
that's
no,
exciting.
that is exciting. And we are doing our best here. So with our filler words and my sister told me that I interrupt you too much. So I have been
Oh my
really.
gosh, that's funny because I think I interrupt you too much.
I think we just do to each other
Yeah.
because we're just,
Well,
you
'cause
know.
this is like a conversation. I
Right,
realize,
right.
and we do that.
Yeah.
but I think on the
We're not professional podcasters, so just leave us alone, okay? Shit.
Yeah, just have a glass of wine and listen, and just give us grace.
Give us grace. Yeah. So anyway,
I feel like we should get into it because this one's
Yeah,
going
this
to be a
one's-
long one.
probably, yeah. This episode, you know, we want to talk about postpartum.
Yeah, so we talked about pregnancy, and I feel like, I mean, there's so many episodes we want to get into. We want to get into breastfeeding, baby-led weaning, sleep, like all those things, but I feel like we have to get through the nitty and gritty.
Yeah.
So we did pregnancy, now we have to get through our postpartum journeys.
And people I wrote like, what topic would you like to discuss? And people did say postpartum was
Really?
one. So we got to give what the people want.
Okay, yeah.
So
we'll get into it.
yeah, and I think we're just gonna kind of, I mean, we're gonna go based off of our experiences, of course, and hopefully this, you know, will. Here I go again with, you know, I hope that this will just give people reassurance that they're okay and that they're seen and they're heard.
yeah, I feel like it can
and
be for people who are pregnant who haven't gone through postpartum yet, or just
or they're going through it right now, the nitty gritty.
Yeah, like to know that your feelings are valid, because everyone's just like pregnancy. Everyone's postpartum is so different.
Yeah.
It's so different, but I also can think we can all agree in like it's nothing like you expect. I feel like for me personally in pregnancy, I didn't even think about my postpartum journey because you're just trying to get to that one goal.
But
right?
also, no one really talked about it.
Because
and
I think
that's what
the whole
pissed
goal
me
is
off.
like, let's get this baby Earthside and like, you know,
Like, and then who gives a fuck about you afterwards anyway? Because it's all about the baby.
Exactly.
And I don't like that because I actually care about me.
Even at the hospital, as soon as the baby comes out, they're like,
They're like,
you,
who
here's
are
a
you?"
pad.
Let me check your uterus. Great.
Here's a pad. Here's some apple juice. Like, give me the baby. Like, literally. And, like, love our
Quite
babies.
literally.
But I'm bleeding, like, golf ball sized clots. Like, is that okay?
Yeah, they don't tell. Like, I just felt like I was so misinformed, and not only, but I also like I've talked to my friends and family about it. I feel like I blame them too, like my sister or people who
they
didn't
don't
really tell
yeah.
me. But also, of course, people can prepare you all you want verbally, but you don't know until you go through it.
Really,
but
everyone's
still,
experience is
like
different.
I just wish I had more people be like, yo, it is actually really hard, so just, you know, watch out. But no, none of that really
Yeah,
in my
no,
life. I feel for my friends and family who had babies before me because they fucking faked it really well. And I felt like an immense guilt after I had a baby for my friends and family in the past being like, damn, I wasn't there for them enough.
That's definitely true.
Yeah. And now like when anybody's postpartum, I immediately go buy them a meal, or I'm like checking in on them, or any, like, now I feel like I'm paying it forward in a different way. I can't pay it backwards, unfortunately. I have like talked to these people being like, I'm so sorry, you know, that like I didn't know. You don't know until you know. So
you don't know. And that's why like I try to give my, you know, friends and family members who haven't had kids like grace, like when I'm in that dark period. Also, we don't like asking for help. So but yeah, the people that really did go above and beyond and reach out to you, remember that, because you're literally at your lowest low.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to do the same thing like with our friends who give birth, like try to prepare them, but there's really just like no preparing, and they kind of have to go through the motions, and like you don't want to push too hard to like be there for them. But yeah, I think for both of us it was tough. It was a tough year, 2 years really. Is like
that's the other thing is postpartum. They say it's 12 months. That's fucking bullshit. It's 2 years. At least mine was a full
for your
2
body,
years.
hormones, everything to fully regulate. Yeah, I do think they've now come out that it's 2 years to like fully have your body and your emotions and your mind like.
Because also a lot of people stop. Like I know the recommended breastfeeding time is
it was a year, but now they changed it to 2 years.
To 2. Obviously, your discretion if you want to do that or not. But yeah, so that's also why.
But fuck that shit.
For us, it wasn't for me, but we'll get into that. Yeah, so, you know, we had these babies, and, you know, look, we were saying in the hospital, you feel like...
It's crazy that you give birth to this thing, and you're just like, you're going to send me home with them? Like,
yeah, so I stayed in the hospital for maybe 24 hours after I gave birth.
Was really
I was, and he was so small. I was expecting NICU time with a 4 pounds 15 ounce baby, so almost 5 pounds. But no, he like passed the car seat test. Like we were able to go home. I gave birth at 1 a.m. on Saturday, and I went home Sunday afternoon, so like a little over 24 hours.
People are like itching to get out of the hospital because you want to go
I was
in your
fucking
own
scared.
bed. But then once you get home, you're just like, wait, there's like, if something goes wrong, like no one I can ask questions. Like then you get home and you're like, can we go back?
My sister was with me and she helped us. She wasn't there for the birth, but she was there before and after, and she was super great. Shout out Amelia, love you. And she came home with us, set up the pack and play, all this stuff, and then she was just like, okay, bye. And I was like, what do you mean? Like you're leaving?
You're leaving me?
And she's like, yeah, I gotta go to work, girl. Like she lives on the coast as well. And I'm like, but I can't do this. Like I started sobbing to her, and she was just like, it's fine. Like
your hormones are
like
just
you got it. And like, and I'm like, no, I don't. Like whatever. But I remember that moment, and I'm sure she does too. That moment very clearly. Me being like, what are you
It's
doing?
just me.
I mean, obviously Sam's there too, but like having the third pair of hands is really helpful. Those first few weeks, yeah. But my mother-in-law did help out a lot after that, so that was great too. But again, you have to ask for the help.
Yeah, we're really bad about that.
Yeah. And how do you feel like it was for you, like the first days, like coming home?
Well, it was rough because, as you know, so Gio had a little bit of like a NICU stay, which I think that is important to note because that really like I think was a stepping stone for like why my mental health was like so bad that first year.
Well, we'll talk about the jaundice that he had.
Yeah. So basically, and I kind of briefly mentioned it in the pregnancy episode, but, and I'm not a doctor, but this is like the dummy version of like what they told me. Cause I kind of like blocked it out because, you know, like you with Jonah, like that trauma, and I hate using the word trauma, but for me it was traumatic. That whole experience, I kind of blocked it out. But basically, I have type O blood. The plus or minus does not matter in this case. But I have type O blood and my husband has type A blood. And when you procreate and have a child, if they have type A blood like the father, they can be what you call Coombs positive, which both my kids were, which basically, again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to really dumb this down. But it just fucks up their blood to where they have really high bilirubin levels, which make them severely jaundiced. Now, Gio, we had no idea about that. With Juju, we were more prepared. With Gio, we had no idea. So he came out. They said he was severely jaundiced. So the whole time we were there, I think, for 3 days because of his jaundice levels. He was under the lights, like the bilirubin lights. It looked like a big tanning salon because he had the little goggles.
Right. Aww.
And he was stripped down just in a diaper. It was kind of cute, but like, you know. But we couldn't hold him. So we could only take him out for like 30-minute segments to feed him and put him back. So that kind of, ruined those like golden hour days things, but whatever, gotta do what you gotta do. And so also with jaundice, that first week is where the levels spike, so they have to be really careful.
But you guys went home.
Yeah, so basically after 3 days the levels like drop severely. They're like, you're good, you're clear, you can go home. So we went home, we had our first night together.
How long were you in the hospital with Gio?
Like 3 days, probably because of the high jaundice. We stayed extra.
That's right. Okay,
yeah, we stayed extra, and then the levels dropped, so they sent us home with the condition that we had to see the pediatrician the next morning to get the levels rechecked.
Right.
So we had our first night home. It was amazing. I mean, you're up all the time, but like being home,
wow.
it is sort of like amazing to finally have him home.
Yeah.
And then the next morning we go to the pediatrician. She immediately looks at him and is like, he's severely jaundiced. Like, she was like, why did they send you home, basically? And I'm like, ma'am, I don't know, I just work here. Like, they sent me home. I don't know. So they checked his jaundice levels. It was severe, like in the dangerous range. And they basically were like, I'm leaving out a lot of stuff, but long story short, she was like, you need to go to the hospital. And at that point, the hospital I delivered at was full. The NICU beds were full. So they sent us to the like big downtown hospital, the one that actually Jonah went to the ICU stay at. So we went to the big hospital. I'd never been there before. I'm like, so like that is where like the trauma started.
Big and overwhelming for sure.
Well, and I was just so naive, I guess, or just like in this bubble of like, I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad, which compared to all the other issues you can have when you're born, it's not that bad. I mean, science has come a long way. They can
but
take
when
care
you're
of it.
freshly,
pushed
he was just
an innocent little baby sleeping in a car seat. I was like, he's fine. We're going to go. We're going to get put under the lights for a little bit and leave. So like, go check in. They take us up the elevator. This NICU, which it's like one of the top in the country, right? But it is so overwhelming. It looks like an episode of Grey's Anatomy. Like when you walk in, it's nothing like the labor and delivery unit. It's like really scary looking. And then again, like you talked about in Jonah's episode, but like the nurses and doctors are amazing. And like ICU nurses, that's a different level of angel.
Ain't nothing like them.
Ain't nothing like them. But I will say their priority is the child, as it should be. But like they didn't really tell me what was going on. So like I walked in, they immediately took him from the car seat, stripped him down, hooked him up to all the monitors, put an IV in, which is like really traumatic to see a baby get an IV put in, and all this stuff. And like that's kind of where I just like, I was like, oh, so this is like not okay. And so I had my first panic attack, but what caused the panic attack was like all that. And then they weren't telling me what was going on because they were focusing on the child, which is fine. And then they come up to me and they give me this clipboard with like a paper that's like for a blood transfusion or something. Again, I'm not a doctor, but if the bilirubin lights don't do enough, the worst case scenario is you would need some sort of like blood transfusion. It's like their own blood from their spine, something like that, but I need to sign off on it. Right. So like they were kind of describing that and I just went like blank and like I started hyperventilating. I couldn't speak, I couldn't breathe, and I was like, because you're obviously enclosed in the hospital. And I was like, I need to go outside. So again, the NICU nurses are saints, and she like escorted me outside, like where they drop the cars off, and I just like collapsed and like couldn't breathe. Anyway, long story short, that definitely was a stepping stone for like my mental health. He ended up being fine. He stayed like 3 or 4 more days. The levels, like I said, the nurses and doctors were amazing. So after that, they were very communicative and like called us every day. Another reason that sucked on my mental health.
You couldn't sleep with him.
We couldn't stay. One,
So
it was
crazy.
in the middle of COVID. 2, I think because of how high level in NICU it was. Like there were no beds, chairs, nothing. Like it was very just for the baby and the doctors.
To be 3-4 days postpartum and not be able to sleep with your baby. Yeah. Like NICU mamas, all that.
Yeah, I was only there
I
less
applaud
than a week,
you.
but
Yeah.
it was, it was definitely like one of the worst things I've ever been through in my life. So that really was a stepping stone in my mental health, I think, because the whole first year of Gio's life, I had a really bad postpartum anxiety, like specifically medical anxiety. I was always taking him to the doctor because I thought something was wrong with him. Nothing was ever wrong with him, and it was something I struggled with, and I think that was like the cause. So I had to give that little story. But yeah, so that first week was kind of not ideal, but you know.
Look where you are now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will say, so fast forwarding to Juju's first week, it was so much better because like we knew going into it about the jaundice, about what would happen, the outcomes, you know, the possible.
And you were way more prepared.
I was way more prepared. So like mentally, if we had to go to the NICU, like I was so much more prepared, and we ended up not having to go to the NICU.
But he needed some light, right?
So he was high jaundice, but not as high, not near as high as Gio. So he actually never needed medical intervention. They watched it, like they took his blood every few hours throughout our hospital stay. But when you make it full term, your jaundice levels are better. So Gio was born at 37 weeks. Julian was born full term. And bigger the baby, the better the jaundice. And Julian was almost 10 pounds. So anyway, no. If we had to go to the NICU, I would have been better. I really think I would have been fine. But we didn't have to. So that was great. So it was so much better the second time. But the first time, that was a pivotal moment in my mental health journey.
Understandably so. That's fucking crazy to go through so quickly after birth, you know? And and
I will say the physical part, so I had a vaginal delivery with Gio, and so you did as well. That for me, and maybe it's because I had that whole week to focus on, like I couldn't really focus on myself, but like I really thought it wasn't that bad. Like I bled, whatever, but like how was your experience?
I felt the same, thank God. You know, I bled for maybe 2 weeks, 14 days.
Yeah, but it like wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
The clots were kind of crazy.
Well, the peri bottle and the fucking ice pads were literally my best fucking friend.
I will say, if you've never done postpartum before and you have a vaginal delivery, every time you go to the bathroom, like every time you pee,
it's a production.
Yeah, it's literally production. Let's not even talk about poop because that's a whole other production.
Colace is your best friend.
Yeah, stool softeners and fiber. But every time you pee, you feel like a man now. Every time they go to the bathroom, they take 45 minutes, and now you finally know what it's like because it is a whole production. Before you pee, you got to do stuff. While you pee, you got to do stuff. After you pee, you got to do stuff. It's a whole production.
Yeah, it is.
That was annoying.
You do need time. Yeah, your first matching outfits with your kids or diapers.
You're literally both in diapers.
Yeah, no, it's and even that's the hard. It was maybe in the moment I felt some type of way, but that was 2.5 years ago.
I know it's hard, and like I said, I think we block a lot.
But I do think I was like, I felt like the recovery itself wasn't the problem at all. You know,
the physical recovery.
But again, we had vaginal deliveries, which I know is very different, and versus C-section. It's a completely different recovery, especially those first couple of weeks. Because really, what you're focusing on is how am I going to feed this baby? How am I going to sleep?
You're just learning everything for the first time,
and that's the other thing. It's like, they're brand new here. You're new to some good advice I got from, I forget who. It's just like, you guys are just getting to know each other. Yeah. And it's okay. Like, you don't know them right away when they come out, and that's fine.
And I will say some people will have that like instant connection, like where, you instantly just like love this thing. Even in pregnancy, some people feel that way, but some people it takes a minute to have that connection, and that's okay. That's normal. And that's all your hormones and emotions. Like, that's totally normal.
Yeah. So,
because like you said, you just met them and they can talk to you. They're potatoes, like the most potato of potato.
Yeah. So you're trying to figure that out. You're trying to recover. And then people want to fucking get involved.
Oh, the visits.
The fucking family and friends that want to come over.
The visitations. That's like a whole... I feel like we could have a whole podcast episode about that. Right. About boundaries.
Yeah. Well, let's just brush over it because, it's
So did you create boundaries before or you after?
I don't think I did. I had no idea.
Like, I know Sally's like, they're really good about like before, like writing a mass text to people like, we don't want visitors for this week to this week. Like, we, whatever. No hospital visitors. Like,
no, I didn't.
I feel like I didn't do any of that.
I think because I just had no idea what I was doing. So
you don't know if you're going to want, because like you're the type of person maybe that wants to be supported and surrounded. And then maybe you're the person who wants nobody. Yeah. You don't know how you're going to feel.
Yeah. No, I knew I wanted only Sam and I in the delivery room. That I always knew.
I agree.
But I
also just wanted Sam in the delivery room. Just kidding. Sam wasn't available, so Taylor had to come in. It's fine.
Oh my God, you're so funny.
I know.
But No, I only wanted my sister. I did not want
to visit
in the hospital because, first of all, every family's different, obviously, but I was very much like, especially right after I gave birth, I was like, my tits out, I'm bleeding, I'm like, I haven't showered in days. Like, I don't want to be around anybody. Yeah. I don't want, because my in-laws did want to come, and I'm like, no, like, I'm good.
That's okay. That's like, your boundary.
There's also nothing to fucking see here unless you want to see my crusty tit and my bleeding vagina.
We could also talk about that. Like, the fact that people just want to see this potato. Like,
they do nothing.
They serve you no purpose. Why do you want to visit them?
Because, like, my sister, she's there to help me, right? She is swaddling. She is helping me get up and down. She actually was the one that literally forced me to shower. She was like, go fucking shower. It's going to make you feel so much better.
So that's another thing, pro tip. If you're going to visit someone who's that freshly postpartum, you better be coming with Chick-fil-A. You better be coming with a meal, and you better be offering to do one chore, like a load of laundry, a load of dishes. Like, if you're just coming and you expect to be well, first of all, if you expect to be fed, like, fuck off, fuck right off. But if you're just coming to visit and, like, not providing any sort of, like,
support,
value, get the fuck out.
Please respectfully fuck off.
Respectfully, though, but fuck right off.
Yeah. So that was difficult because actually I thought I was going to be the person that wanted everybody.
Because you are that kind of person.
I am. I love it. I love attention, but on my terms. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
No, but I'm the opposite. I like when I'm anxious, like I'm very self-destructive in that way, where like I don't want to leave the house, I don't want to see anybody, which is like bad.
Yeah.
So there's both ends of the spectrum,
Right. And so, like, when I got home with Jonah, and I was, because also, like, you're just trying to get used to your new normal. Again, you're learning this new little human. You and your partner are trying to, like, it's a shit show. So when your family wants to meet the baby so badly, you want it too, but also you're like, I'm overwhelmed as fuck. And I remember texting all of Sam's family being like, hey, like, I love you and I want you to meet your nephew so badly, but, like, just give me some time. And actually they were all really cool.
Yeah.
Except for one of my...
There's always a few outliers,
but whatever, who weren't respectful, and that sucks. But yeah, so, and the same with my friends. Because also, like, I did have... If you say you don't have anxiety or depression after birth, like, you're lying, or just like or unless you're just whatever drugs you're on, I would love to be on them because it's the anxiety. And the thing is, I didn't know it was PPA. I did not know it was postpartum anxiety. I didn't know that was
even a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know it until, like, later on, and
I feel like it takes you being out of it and reflecting back to see, like,
oh my god,
because especially going through it the second time, my postpartum, spoiler alert, it was a lot better.
Right.
Looking back, I can be like, wow, with Gio, I was not okay because I'm totally okay now, and, like, I don't have any sort of worries or anxieties like I did before. But I think when you're in it, it's so hard to, like, see that you are actually, like, not okay.
Yeah.
And then when you come out of it, you can reflect, because that's what it took for me. And I was like, wow, I really should have, like, been on meds or something.
Oh my god. For whenever my next pregnancy is, put me back on my Lexapro. Like, that's what so that, like, I thought it was going to be such a different experience for me, and I actually ended up wanting, like, a couple weeks just to figure my life out and figure out things. But for Jews, we do a bris. And so we did have to get together, but I only did, like, immediate family and, like, a couple of friends.
I think it's important to note, like, we both gave birth our first times, like, during COVID. I mean,
it was the Omicron time.
Yeah, it was during the
end of 2021.
It was during the spike of Omicron. So that definitely didn't help our anxiety.
No, it did not. And yeah, so it just took me a while to let people in and hold him and all of that, and then it got better. But no, those first, and then I had baby blues. You did not, but I
don't think so. Like, looking back on it, I don't think I was ever sad or depressed. It was just so anxious. Like, I was always
there's a difference between there's a
right.
There's a difference between the
but
two.
I think baby blues and depression, it's like sadness, right? It's like, that's the general. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into it. But, like, for me, when I
just
think
cried
back,
so much.
For me, when I think back, I was just so anxious, like, so fight or flight the entire, like, almost 10, 12 months. I don't think I was ever really sad. I mean, I wouldn't say that I had postpartum depression or baby blues, but you had baby blues.
Yes, 1,000% I did. And that lasted about 4 weeks.
Okay.
I would say. And that's how long I breastfed. So
I was going to say, should we get into the breastfeeding?
Well, we can brush over it in our journey. So I did try to breastfeed. Well, first I tried to breastfeed like on the breast. Nurse. Okay. And it took me... my milk took a while to come in, and also like Jonah was very small. My nipples were obviously very big.
And can we briefly brush over like the redhead thing? Are you more sensitive to pain and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Like, 'cause that's important.
Yes. That is important. Thank you.
So much. I'm a doctor. Remember?
You are. Yeah, and you're a redhead ally.
I am an ally.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I want to go red. Remember? We'll talk about it later.
There's only room for one of us.
I know.
So, yes, redhead. Yes, my pain. Your pain tolerance is more, but your skin is more sensitive. And actually, like in the hospital, there was one nurse that was like, "Oh, you're a redhead. This is going to be tough." Like, I just had a really. I'm not going to get into all the hospital breastfeeding stuff yet until our episode.
We're gonna have a full episode
that's dedicated to the titties. But basically, I had a very tough time with breastfeeding. I stopped after 3 days, and then I did just exclusively pumping. That sent me into a really
dark
place. And it took my sister. She's just wonderful.
Amelia. Yeah, your sister really came through for you.
She really did. And she was like, bitch, you got to stop. And she's like very natural. She's the one that she was all about breastfeeding her first. So she's like, you got to stop. I think
she's
that's
a fellow
probably
scrunchy mom.
Right. So, so I stopped, and that was the best thing for me in that month, I would say.
You have like guilt surrounding stopping
severely.
That's a big thing.
Severe guilt. And now I look back 2.5 years later, like, oh my God,
wouldn't
girl.
do it any different. I mean,
no, I would not do it. Yeah, I would. I'm glad that I stopped when I did, and I didn't, because also I just wasn't producing a lot. But that's a whole other story. And I went to all the things.
You tried. That's
I really fucking tried.
You didn't even just give up. Which, if you give up right away, that's totally fucking fine.
But it's not giving up. I think let's reword this.
If you choose to formula feed.
You're feeding your child the most effectively you need to. And
yeah, however you choose to feed your child, it's fucking fine.
Yeah.
But you even said, like, looking back on it, like your next pregnancy, you might just come in bind and be like, not even trying it.
No, because I know the road, and I would rather just avoid it. Especially
and a lot of people do that, and like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, if I'm gonna have 2 kids, like I don't have time to be in the baby blues, and you know what I mean. It's
hard when you have 2.
Yeah. So so that was really tough in the first month, and then I weaned, and it actually was just it was so much better. So that was and also even like leaving the house, you get really nervous too.
Oh yeah. Well, especially because of like
driving,
the Omicron, but yeah,
everything was just so heightened.
Yes,
especially those first 3 months, the 4th trimester, if you will.
Yep.
Yeah, that your anxiety and your senses are even heightened. I even remember like coming home from the hospital with Jonah when he was born. It was a severe thunderstorm, like terrible torrential in December out of all times, which was like so annoying. And I was in the back seat with Jonah, and I literally felt like we were going to crash at every second.
And Sam has probably never driven safer.
No, he was driving 30 miles an hour, and he didn't even take the highway.
And I was like, 2.
Like I just was losing my mind in the back seat, thinking that we were going to die.
Driving for the first time with a child is another level of
that. And then when you're alone, that was a whole thing. And I actually had really good friends who like would be like, hey, I'm going to meet you at this coffee shop.
Yeah, start small. That would be my advice.
And we're going to go out for an hour, and then you're going to go home. And I'm like, wow. And actually now I do that with people, and I love it, because it's, you need, just like how, when you're going to be out with 2 kids, and we're going to conquer it. We are.
Oh, me leaving the house with my kids? Yes, eventually. Yes. But I did the same thing. It's kind of like our ABA. Like,
we're systematically.
Yeah, we're going to create a program. We like fade. Like, I've gone to the grocery store, then work your way up. But yeah, so with the newborn, you definitely have to work little milestones. I feel like makes it better.
Yeah, and then Target became my best friend. We would just stroll Target.
Oh, yeah. I will say that's a pro tip. Like, newborns love Target because of all
mall.
The lights. The lights. They fucking love lights. And Target that shit is lit up.
Yeah.
And the red, it's very like contrast.
And you need to be there all the time anyway, because diapers, wipes, all the things.
Yeah, and obviously the moms love it too. But Target was our go-to for sure. Those first few months.
The mall, yeah, because our mall has like like a really giant skylight, and like Jonah would just like look up like, oh my God, look.
And like we had each other because they were born around the same time. So like we would push each other.
We
like,
did go to lunch. Yeah, we got tacos with the boys.
We got tacos, then we went to the wine place. Like we would meet like every few weeks. Yeah, we tried to push each other. But like I was also going through, so should I graze over my breastfeeding experience? Because it's also
just a light graze.
I'll try. Yeah, I'm gonna try my best to like graze. Just briefly mention it because we're gonna have a whole episode, and I could literally
write a thesis.
I seriously, and you know, it's like what we said in I don't know what episode, but like how we have all these little goals and motivations. Like I would love to become a lactation consultant. You know,
really,
just because of how much knowledge I've learned about exclusive pumping and oversupply, and like that's just not a lot of their strong suits. They're catered towards other things. So basically I'm what they call like a hyperlactator, like oversupplier. But you guys, I made so much milk. So I was trying to figure this out. I think like the average baby drinks about maybe like 20 to 35 ounces a day, right? Like throughout their months of life. I think at my peak, like 130 ounces a day. So like do the math. The math ain't mathin'. So basically I made like 30 something ounces like in 15 minutes. Like I was just overflowing with milk. And I know everyone look at that as a blessing, but it was really hard because
it has its
I constantly had to keep draining myself or else I'd get sick. I got mastitis like 5 times, which we'll go through that in the full episode because it was horrible. And when you have a newborn, you can't be getting sick like that. So it was just horrible. And I didn't know how to stop because I was producing all this milk. And like, it's really hard to stop when you have that much milk. And so that's the thing. Like I met with multiple lactation consultants. They couldn't help me because they've never dealt with something like that. Because it's always like the opposite of like people who want to make more milk, not the opposite. And I didn't do anything, by the way, to make an oversupply. I did everything to stop it. She's
just that bitch.
No, I did everything to stop it. All the peppermint, all the things. I read all the things.
The cabbage.
The fucking cabbage. Anyway, so I feel like that's worth mentioning because that really, really heightened my emotions and made me really anxious and really like it was to the point where all my family and friends were like, you need to stop like on your mental health.
I remember being one of those people.
Yeah, because it was just it was really affecting my life, and like I couldn't go anywhere because it was all revolved around
breastfeeding, pumping, or bottle feeding. All three affect your life in different ways. Yeah, obviously.
So I also exclusively pumped, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Yeah.
But your life is significantly revolved around feeding your baby that whole first year.
Yeah.
You know, so whether...
In every avenue, there's pros and cons to each one.
Yes, which in our episode, we're going to have all three perspectives. So that's...
we're going to bring Sally's on?
Hell yeah.
You know, she doesn't have anything going on. It's fine.
She's literally about to give birth any second.
It's fine.
She'll be brand new to breastfeeding again.
That's true.
I know.
We can even have like an ASMR.
Oh, stupid.
I'm just kidding. Anyway,
you're the suckling. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. All right. So feeding your child obviously is a big part of it, and
it really affected our mental health.
But can I get real deep for a second?
Get real deep, honey.
Talk shit, get deep. Yeah,
something
whatever.
Like that.
It's also like this whole postpartum experience is also a rebirth of you. It's
totally. You'll never be the same in a good ways and bad ways, but like your life once that baby comes out of you, really once you become pregnant, but once that baby comes out, like your life, yourself, your body, mentally, physically, emotionally, you will never be the same.
But it's beautiful. Yeah. It's such a beautiful
there's pros to it for sure.
Rebirth of yourself. There is a level of not giving a fuck anymore about certain things.
Sure.
And
'cause I know for me, I'm like such a yes person, like in my professional life, everything. And then once I had kids, I that changed because it's like, your fucks you give just decrease.
Yeah, they dwindle. Yeah, and no, that's something that's not talked about a lot too. Is just that you become a completely different person, and you're learning this new version of yourself.
And also like your relationships change. So like you, unfortunately, like you lose friends, you gain new ones, like all your mom friends.
Right.
But like you grieve that sort of thing too. Because I know like I lost a lot of friendships.
Can I tell you the grieving that I went through?
Yeah.
Just because I went to therapy throughout my postpartum period too, and I went through such a grieving process of the old Lila, of like the freedom of being able to go out whenever, and I didn't expect to. Obviously, like on a conscious level, I knew my life was changing when I got pregnant. You know what I mean? Yeah,
but can I say, I specifically remember, because we were pregnant at the same time, you said, you're like, I know, like, I'm the type of person, like, I love to travel, I love to, like, do all these things. Like, I'm going to be the type of mom where, like, my life's not going to stop when I have a child. You said that, because you're like, I'm going to keep life in, and I'm going to have this baby and love it. But, like, I feel like that's not, you know, your world did stop.
It did stop. But I do think, you know, I do. Sam and I had a lot of conversations before we had children about how we want, yes, our children, everything like that is going to be our whole life. But we also have, I'm also Lila. He's also Sam. We don't want to lose ourselves completely in the identity of being parents.
No, and that's so healthy.
So, yeah. And I felt like we had to have those conversations constantly, and we still do, about like identity. Of course, your identity is going to shift, but you really shouldn't lose you. So that's why I thrive off of our little girls' nights and our
that's so important.
Our date nights, and it's so important because it is extremely easy to lose all of that part of you,
especially if you don't work. Like once I became a full-time stay-at-home mom, like I really had to work hard to find that part of me again, because when you work, you at least have a little part of you, like your identity isn't, because I struggle with right now, like my identity is only a mom because I don't work, you know, I don't know. And I know that that's a toxic trait in me. That's not true. But that's just like how I feel. So I feel like I have to really work hard to like have, so that's why these weekly meetings, even though we're recording a podcast, like that's something outside of being a mom that I can go have time to myself. And even Taylor and I going on our trip, like you really need to try and put yourself first a little bit to like find whatever you need to do, whatever outlet avenue gets you a little bit of independence from just like being the sole provider of your children,
because the baby's fine, like really, like 99.99%. Actually, I was just at a baby shower the other day, and I was talking to the father, the soon-to-be father, and I was hugging him, and they live right down the street from me, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna be there to like help you, like, you know, wash your dishes, do your laundry, because I'm like, the baby's fine, it's you guys that aren't gonna be fine, you know, like literally you need, you know, so yeah, you got to take care of yourself.
And it's hard. Like I really have to push myself.
It's better said than, I mean, it's easier said than done, obviously, but I hope that this maybe a mom's listening right now and she needed this reminder. Go get the massage. Go get your nails done.
Go get your fucking nails done.
I'm very regimented. And
you are. But I feel like that's so good because, like I said, it gets you out of the house. It's like a routine that like gets
every
you
3 weeks I get my nails done. Boom. Like I don't care who is crying, who's whatever.
You even got your nails done the day you gave birth.
I sure did. When I found out I was getting induced, I went straight to the nail salon because I didn't know when I was going back. You know?
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
No, but it's just those little things because, I think that's like the whole general whatever overview of postpartum is like you do lose a bit about yourself, but you gain this whole
new beautiful person. Like your life. So I get so emotional when I find out anyone, like especially one of my friends, is going to be a mom for the first time. I get emotional talking about it. I get so emotional for them because I'm like, I look at them, I like grab their face, like your life is gonna change forever, but in the best way. But you're gonna be like the best mom.
You're gonna have some lows, but you're gonna have the highest highs. You're gonna be a totally different person. And like I'm so excited for you. Like I get so genuinely. I know you do too.
No,
like,
I
so excited.
I love it so much. Yeah. Yeah, I cry every time someone tells me they're pregnant.
I know. Also, like your hormones at postpartum, like once you have kids.
Oh my God.
I cry at commercials now. I cry
everything. When I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm hopeful, when I everything.
Yeah, lately these Disney movies, because like, you know, Gio's been doing like the Disney movies now, and like Nemo every time Nemo. Like
that's
the dad.
One of Jonah's favorites.
Yeah,
too.
they love it. But the dad when at the end Yeah. Anyway, that whole thing.
Finding Dory really makes me cry.
Yeah,
That one fucks me up.
right now.
Yeah.
That is such a good franchise. Finding Dory.
The best.
Weirdly, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I think because of the brother relationship, because I think about Gio and Juju, I cry every time.
You're so funny.
Anyway, yeah, your emotions
you
are going to be
cry
wrecked.
over, but forever, even after postpartum, like you're still, because I think also life hits you different now too.
Life has a whole new meaning.
Yeah, and everything, happy, sad, angry, all of it makes you like just love life, and and it's okay to be like this. It's okay to be emotionally happy, or like happy crying, happy sad. I don't know. It's
so weird because life is so overwhelming. Like I said, like some days we're just drowning, barely surviving. But like I look back on when I didn't have kids, I'm just like, my life really just like
we were just pussy popping girls.
It's just so different, and I just like I can't. It's hard to even imagine that life before kids now, because that's all I know now, and like I wouldn't have it any other way. So it's different, but it's beautiful. And I think the whole point of this episode was just like, if you're in the thick of postpartum, if you're about to be, if you were, like, your feelings are all fucking valid. We had rough. Oh, I didn't even go through Juju's. Should I briefly trace over it?
Your second? Who cares?
That's such a second child thing. I'm so sorry, Julian.
Well, no, because there are so many topics within postpartum, but again, we want to make more episodes out of them. But just to brush through, that, it's.
I'll briefly say the second time was so much better.
I know, I can imagine.
I was so nervous because I thought the second time was going to be worse, because I was like, I have the worst anxiety of my life with Gio. Now I'm going to have a toddler and a newborn. Like, I'm going to be a wreck. But I think it's because
I always hear going from 1 to 2
is the worst.
Is harder than 0 to 1. Because 0 to 1, it's like all about you. It's like,
no, and it's funny.
cute.
Once you go 1 to 2, like, we literally, when we were in the newborn phase with a toddler, we're like, wow, we were so spoiled just like having the one newborn. Like we thought that was hard. No, one kid is like so easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like, no offense, like obviously we're joking, but like once you have two,
I'm not.
Even when we have 2
and more, I commend.
Like when one of us take one on an outing alone, like we're like, oh my god, this is so fucking easy. But when you have both, but yeah, so the second time postpartum was so much easier. Emotionally, mentally, my mental health was so
because you know exactly what to expect.
I knew what to expect.
Yes, every pregnancy and delivery and all that, especially yours, is different.
Yes.
But
I'm
general.
Talking about like the mental aspect.
That the general. Okay, I gotta wear diapers. I got like the first time, like we said, we felt like we were so in the dark and didn't know. Yeah. So, so all the steps to recovery and what feeding's going to look like and everything like that.
And especially with the baby, it's like that first year of their life, you've gone through every sickness, So with that second baby, you've seen everything pretty much. Yeah. So there wasn't anything that like I didn't already see. And if there was, like I knew that I knew what to do. So it was so much better mentally, I will say. Even the breastfeeding, I'll briefly mention.
You knew exactly what you wanted to do.
I still was a freaking cow and made just as much milk, but I set really good boundaries for myself. I said, I'm only doing this 4 months. I don't think I mentioned with Gio. I was so obsessed. I went a full year with Gio, which was horrible on my mental health. I should not have done that. With Julian, I was like, I'm only going to do 4 months. My husband was off for 4 months, paternity leave. So I was like, I'm going to do it while he's off. And then immediately when he goes back to work, I'm weaning. And I did that. I stuck to it. And I was
so proud of you.
That was so much better on my mental health. Also, like any sort of tribulation I went through with breastfeeding, like I knew what to expect. I think that's the worst thing about breastfeeding, nursing, pumping, formula feeding. You just like no one prepares you, so you don't fucking know. So the second time you have so much more like experience under your belt, so much better the second time.
And you know what you want, you know what you don't want, you know.
I will briefly mention physically. So I had a C-section my second time. Physically, that shit fucking sucked.
Yeah.
The recovery, I was so naive. I really thought like because I had a scheduled C-section. So I had time to like think about it.
Well, these bitches make it look so easy.
Yes, and
because yes, you don't realize you have 7 fucking layers of.
I don't know why I was just under this naive thought that as long as I took like Tylenol and ibuprofen, I would be not in pain.
Yeah,
wrongo. Yeah, that was not true. The medicine makes it tolerable, but like you are never not in pain for those first 2 weeks. Like I was in so much pain, and you also don't realize like because they cut your abs or like around your ab muscles, so you don't realize how much you use your ab muscles to sit up, to go to the bathroom, like everything.
So you got to use like your arms more.
Yeah, or just it hurt. Like it's you're just constantly in pain. Like
we'll have to do like a C-section recovery.
Yeah, because
like
we'll have to Ruby on.
We'll have to talk about a little bit more.
That's like a whole thing. But I will say physically, that was a lot of pain the first 2 weeks.
Because I'm curious myself, because I don't know about it, and I would love to learn more.
And I will say having a C-section recovery, because that's like a 6 weeks recovery with a toddler, was so hard because like I couldn't pick him up for 6 weeks. I couldn't put him in the car seat.
He was still a baby.
Yeah, he was 19 months. I couldn't run around with him. So again, my husband and my family really stepped up for me. But like that physically was really hard. But mentally, I was in such a better place. Even with all of that, I was in such a better place. So I will say, and as far as my experience goes, it gets better postpartum. The first time is just like everyone has to go through it. It's like the first time.
It's your unique experience.
It is, yeah. But I also love hearing about like my friends' experience, because it makes like yours more valid. Because I think when you're in it, you just feel so isolated. Like I must be the only one that feels this way.
No, we were all texting each other like fiends.
Are you fucking drowning too? Yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah, or like I remember when I was struggling with like the breastfeeding and everything. I remember like texting you guys like crazy. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It is, but it's normal. It's valid. So I hope this gave people perspective that, whatever you're going through, we here for you. We get it. We've been there.
Yeah.
It's normal. I would say some sort of like advice. Like I would say try to find whoever, ask for help, which is so hard for us. But I feel like going through postpartum, that is so key, because like I said, I get very self-destructive when I get anxious, and like don't ask for help. Don't like surround myself. I get really quiet, which is not good. So I feel like reach out. If people are offering help,
or if people get quiet, reach out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like if you have a postpartum friend that gets quiet, reach out. But if people offer help, take it, because I didn't the first time, and the second time I'm like, oh yeah, take Gio out for the day.
Well, I think especially for second, I'm sure that's the most helpful thing is take my toddler.
Oh yeah, when people wanted to come over, I was like, okay, but you're like taking Gio to the park, like you're not going to come see the baby, you're going to hang out with Gio. Which I will say, because you mentioned your family, like my family both times are very respectful. Taylor's family, my family are friends. I never really had issues, like had like any boundary talks with anyone, because like they were very respectful of my boundaries. But I know that that's not always the case at all. We've heard crazy stories even from our friends of like crazy showing up at the hospital, or crazy this, that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Make your if there's one thing that I wish, if I can look back, that I wish I did and I didn't, was the boundaries.
The boundary talk.
Yeah, the boundary talk with your husband and with your families and friends and all that. Sure. But again, you also don't know. And
usually, like I'd say 9 times out of 10, like they'll respect it. And if they don't, now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know.
You don't know. Now you know. Yep. Yeah. So that's our episode.
Yeah. Sorry if it was lengthy. What are we at?
No, we're good.
Okay,
we're so good.
Should I keep talking?
I mean, like I said, I know like there's going to be things within
and even
postpartum.
with the pregnancy, as soon as we wrapped, I was like, oh, I should have mentioned this and this. Like, I'm sure there's stuff we're grazing over.
Even like Jonah's story, I'm still like, oh, I actually, there's so many things. There's so many things in life,
I know, but like I said, we're gonna do a deep dive.
Our best.
We're gonna do a whole booby episode on breastfeeding. Like you said, we can do a C-section one. But I'm really excited. I want to do, like I said, a feeding. And the sleeping. Oh, the sleeping episode.
Our next one is going to be sleep.
Okay, because you're dealing with that shit right now at 2.5. So that's the thing. Like, spoiler alert, sleep shit never ends. Sorry.
Right. So that's our show. And thank you for listening to us. And listen to us on Spotify. Follow us at Scrunchy Moms Club. Podcast.
It's a long fucking one.
Because it was taken, fuckers. Yeah, and I hope you all have a wonderful week.
And if you can think of topics, like just DM us.
well, I'll try a little like question box again.
Yeah,
because
but,
I only got like one or two.
If
but
you have any sort of anything that you want to add to postpartum, if you want to share your postpartum experience, if you have a question, especially even though we haven't gotten to the episode, breastfeeding. If you have any breastfeeding things, like I'm telling you, I could write a thesis. I am so passionate about it. I'm not saying I know everything, but like, if you have any sort of breastfeeding, pumping questions, like I would love them. Just like write them in. Anyway, we're just here. We're surviving, y'all, and we're thriving.
Surviving and thriving. That's always like my slogan. Yeah, surviving and thriving. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful week.
And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.